section. Okay. I know the criticism, or think about the criticism that Brandon said is like there's something about Mary is not horror
And Little
because it
Giants.
and Little
I
Giants.
saw Little Giants in there.
Yeah, it was back before I actually had my shelf set up the way I have it set up, where I actually do have a horror section, which I borrowed from you. It doesn't have yours has it literally says horror
It
on
did,
your
yeah.
on your it did.
It did.
Now what does it say now? Just know
It doesn't say
it's,
anything. But I do have everything in order.
you still have it in order. Okay.
I do. I
Uh,
do.
but yeah, it's chaos then. But welcome to the Markout Movie Podcast. I'm Aaron Whitlow.
I'm Brandon Spivey. It's chaos.
It's chaos. What are we doing today, Brandon?
We are doing 1931's Dracula.
Dracula
Yeah.
movie that came out is actually I want to mention it was directed by Todd Browning, who is actually from Kentucky. So one of the biggest first big directors uh, is Todd Browning, and like horror directors is Todd Browning, and he's from Kentucky. I don't think he's from here, but I think he's from the state. I don't know where exactly he's from. So uh,
Oh, he's not from here, but he is from Kentucky. Aaron just
he,
wants
he's
to
from
point that out. He's
he's
not
from Louisville.
Carpenter,
He's,
but
he's
he's.
from Louisville. He would be a precursor to Carpenter, really. But yeah, um,
But everybody
and
knows how
also
you view Carpenter.
yeah, I'm a mark for Carpenter. But yeah, I will say this too. So Dracula is based off of the book by Bram Stoker. Dracula. It obviously Hollywood's it a bit more from there, but at the same time, right after Bram Stoker died, they wanted to create. You remember Nosferatu? They
Yeah.
did that movie, but they didn't have the permission from his estate, his widow, to do that movie. So they pretty much sued him. And so they had to make sure they did still made the movie, but they changed the name from Dracula to Nosferatu, and but they changed it up a bit. But it's pretty much Dracula, and it predates this movie. But this Bela Lugosi is arguably the most famous Dracula. I would say he is the most famous Dracula. Would you say that?
See, I'm not very familiar with the name, but I thought he got replaced by the guy that did Frankenstein and the
Uh,
Wolfman.
no. Bella played him uh, on through. He also went on to play. You talk about Lon Chaney Jr.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Lon Chaney Jr. did the Wolfman, and I think and then you have Boris Karloff
Okay, that's
who
it.
did
That's
who
him.
who did Frankenstein.
Okay.
He also Boris Karloff also did the Mummy, so he was the Mummy in the Mummy movies. But yeah, uh, I don't know, man. I would
He
say
didn't play Dracula though, ever.
I don't think he did. I think Bella played him
Okay, okay.
throughout. I think I might be wrong. If somebody knows, feel free to let us know in the comments because I may be wrong. But but I know that Bella. Uh, Another famous Dracula was Christopher. Did Christopher Lee play Dracula?
Yeah, in the
Um,
70s, I think.
yeah, for Hammer, for the Hammer Studios. Uh, but yeah, because they tried to do their spin on the old Universal monsters and revamp them for the '70s type of post Helter Skelter type of time frame. I guess I don't know, but they upped it to like more violent, more obscene. It, but which is it has to evolve. Um,
Yeah.
but but I know that Bela Lugosi, when he died, they buried him in his cape, and I think Vincent Price said to Christopher Lee or said to somebody, I don't know who it was, but they said, "Do you think we should stick a stake in him just in case?" you know, but yeah, Bela Lugosi, yeah, he was. I now people associate his mannerisms with Dracula, and but I think there's more of who he was. It's not that he's trying to make the character that, but that was his accent. He was like, "I want to suck your blood," that like that. That was, I think it was him. And but now that's what people, when you think Dracula, that's what you think of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you seen that in Hotel Transylvania what Adam Sandler was doing. But yeah,
Yeah.
what did you think about the movie though? Was it your first time seeing it?
No, I saw it 2019, I think, for the very first time. And it was the very first movie I saw, the Universal Monsters. So I was kind of blown away then because I had never seen it. My only experience had been in a library looking at the books that talk about the making of the Universal Monster movies back in 1930s and 50s. So I was always fascinated by these characters, but it's the first time I watched it back then. But revisiting, I thought kind of watched it for this day, but also reflecting back how far we've come. Uh, I think most people today would be bored out of their minds, would make fun of the horror aspect of it. You know, it, I thought the acting was really good, though. I did, but and I like some of the shots early on, the fog and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. When Renfield enters town, so to speak, and he's telling people where he's going. It's like, you don't want to go there,
Hmm.
and he's like, he had no fear. I like that aspect. Like, he didn't really know what he was walking into, so I like that.
You mentioned something to me when we was messaging about it,
Yeah,
and it changed my perspective a bit because I was watching and I was kind of like, oh man, but then my wife started watching it with me, and we kind of was like pointing out some things that we thought was pretty funny or pretty comedic or pretty, like
yeah.
people are doing things. But you point out something, and I appreciate it. You said uh, with you been watching Babylon, it kind of made you get a have a more great appreciation for filmmaking back
Mm-hmm.
then, going
Yeah,
from silent to talkie.
yeah.
You want to kind of expand on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, it was just well, Babylon came out last year. Nobody went and seen it, but I had no idea what it was about either. But one of the things I love about that movie is the transition between silent films and talking, and this was about the same time period, I do believe, where they transitioned into talking films, and you could tell because it has no score at all. And I was like, man, this needs a score. This needs a Carpenter vibe or something, to make it scary. And I was like, then I just thought at Babylon, they didn't have it. They didn't. This was new
They,
for them,
they didn't
and
know. Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, man, that makes me appreciate how far we've come, in film and cinema, and the actors, had to transition, and not all of them could. and I just really appreciated, the film itself, going from, from a silent aspect to one of the probably the very first few films that had talking in it.
You know what? And that's another aspect, man, that you bring up, and I never thought about it. Is like Bela Lugosi's Dracula is very animated,
It
but it's
is.
probably because he came from a silent film type of era where you had to be animated because there's no words. So
Mm-hmm.
you had to be more like loud with your expressions because your voice wasn't going across. And so I never thought about it. 'Cause I thought about like when he had a standoff with Van Helsing and he showed him the cross and the way he kind of turned and dramatically turned and went away.
Yeah.
Uh, it was like very very dramatic, like overly dramatic, but it's
Mm-hmm.
because he comes from an era where he had to be overly dramatic. So it's that, like, what to do. And I never thought about that too. Like, the reason there's no score or anything, but back then they didn't know that you needed ambience, you needed something to kind of
Mm-hmm.
help get more emotion out of you.
Yeah.
I guess they like, oh, it's the sound is the key. As long as we have sound, And so, uh, yeah. And I noticed, I think I heard the camera a bit, when they was like crank, like especially when they were going through like the crypt. Uh, it's where it's so quiet and you see like the opossums and you know, was there an armadillo?
I do think so. I, I think
Yeah,
I think so. Like, was it like early
yeah.
on?
I think early on, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
believe so.
and and also it's just another thing. Uh, man, this like how did Winfield not know that this is the same dude that picked him up to bring him
Yeah.
into the council? Like he literally looked him in the face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely has its flaws. And like, I mean, if I was to try to show this to Dawson, it would be a disaster. He would not
Hmm.
watch it. He would be so bored, and he would think everything's funny. And he was like, he couldn't take it seriously. I just know he wouldn't be able to take it seriously. But like I said, Babylon kind of changed me. I thought it was one of the best films of the year last year, and I've always been I guess, attracted to old Hollywood,
Hmm.
like in that time period. And like I found everything about it fascinating, especially at the beginning. But it just made me appreciate truly how far we've come. And if you watch the film at the end, it shows you how far we've come with
Yeah,
video.
on Babylon, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, and I while watching this, I couldn't help but think of that movie, and I was like, man. And I think of all the vampire movies that have come, and this was. I mean, I know you said that other one came before it, but this is. I feel
This is
like,
more famous. It's more known.
yeah,
This is it started. It kicked off a whole studio.
yeah. I mean,
Like yeah.
this started the Universal Monsters. I mean, literally, but and you just think of how far it's come from this picture to, I don't know, the last really good vampire movie, but I'll
And with
go with 30 Days a Night.
yeah. Well,
The,
even more than that, the fact that Bela Lugosi kicked off Dracula as a character back in
yeah,
1931, and to today, even this year, there was a brand new Dracula movie that came.
yeah.
Two Dracula films that
How
came
did I
out in
forget?
theaters. Two Dracula movies.
How?
Yeah, with Renfield,
Yeah,
and then the Last Voyage of the Dementor. But yeah, there's Dracula is still prevalent today, and even with the Hotel Transylvania stuff, it's still they're still making those movies. You know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's been around for almost 100 years. We're in 1920. I mean, we're in 2023. He started in 1931. I mean, that's 92 years. Dracula, the character's been on film, at least.
Mm.
So I mean, that's incredible. But I haven't seen that other one, but I did see Renfield, and I thought Nick Cage was just phenomenal as Dracula. Like, I really did. And it's good to see that these old characters still have a place in Hollywood today. Whether it's a big budget movie whether it succeeds or flops, I mean, they're still making them. So there's still an audience that wants these characters. I
Yeah,
mean, I know I do. I mean, I love these characters.
the first one I was saying about Nosferatu came out in 1922. It's an hour and 34 minutes long, and this is a silent film, so there's zero talking. So Dracula is the first talking uh vampire film, really.
Yeah.
But Nosferatu is silent. It's got the title cards or whatever, uh, throughout, and it's like it's super old, but it's very iconic with the shots of like him going up the stairs. They recreated it for New Nightmare with Freddy, like shadow on the wall, and you see him kind of creep through. That's kind of the Nosferatu look, but they pretty much steal everything from Bram Stoker's Dracula, but they couldn't call it Stoker's Dracula. But Universal with this movie did an excellent job. I'm gonna say that for its time, I can't
Yeah.
imagine being a child watching this. This would be terrifying. You know, it'd be
Yeah.
terrifying.
1931. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because you never see anything like this
Hmm.
ever. It's like when we say about Carpenter's Halloween, you literally hadn't seen anything like that either. Or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you hadn't seen it before. So it's
Or
fresh, it's new, and today you don't get that at all. It's you recycle
mhm.
everything. So yeah, for 1931, I would have loved to been at the cinema and watching Dracula.
Mm.
I would absolutely loved it. You know, seeing something new and creatively new, and I don't know. I have a love for these characters. I have a love for vampire films. I just and they never go out of style for me. So
I want to say, uh, other than Bella, who did a great job in this movie,
oh
I
yeah,
think Dwight Fry, who plays Renfield, uh, he was a standout. Like he was so like you felt his like desire to please his master. He's just like,
yeah. But I think the one aspect they didn't develop strong enough for it. Just watching it, it felt like that was like a mental institution, right?
hmm that's
But
what I
it
thought.
didn't.
I felt that way. Was it not?
But why was he in a mental institution?
I don't
Unless
know.
I
If you
missed
watch,
it.
did you see the? Have you seen the remake of Dracula?
Like
With
which one? Which
With
one?
Keanu.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, I've seen it. I don't remember much. I don't remember Renfield in that movie.
Yeah, he was.
Honestly,
It's Keanu. He's Renfield.
is he?
Yeah.
Wow.
They call him. He's called Jonathan Harker in
Okay, it's been
there.
a long time since I've seen it, but
Um,
I didn't realize he was Renfield though.
I
That's
wonder
interesting.
is it streaming anywhere? Um, I don't know. I'm interested to watch it. I'm not gonna pull Audible,
He
but
will.
I may because I
After
haven't
just saying
seen
he's not going to, I may.
I haven't seen it. And oh, I'm not trying to go to Pluto TV. But I think it's on Pluto TV, which I don't know where that's at. But okay.
I have it.
Um, it's like free, right? It's one of those free
It's
ones.
free. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I mean, I might choose it, man. I don't know. I will see. Right now, I'm going with Dracula 2000 because I thought it'd be kind of cool to see. Uh, like I remember when that movie came out, and I hadn't seen it too many times. Uh, but and then the other Dracula movie, I always felt it's very slow. It's Francis Ford Coppola, so he takes his time with stuff. you know, I don't know. But you like a slow burn, do you, or no?
Sometimes if it really pays off, you know.
Hmm.
Sometimes they don't pay off. It's just slow.
Yeah, but I think that for the most part, the standouts in this one would have been Bella, Dwight Frye who played Renfield. What was your thoughts on Van Helsing?
When him and Dracula was on screen together, I thought it was flawless. It's just my only problem with Van Helsing. He's supposed to be this slayer, right?
Hmm.
But he doesn't do anything. And I mean, really, he doesn't. He just it's just dialogue after dialogue after dialogue, and it kind of wore me out. It's like, okay, come on, do something, because I've only seen the original Universal Monsters version of Van Helsing and Hugh Jackman's version, and as much as that movie sucks, in my opinion, Hugh Jackman's version is much cooler.
Mm.
I mean, at least he's doing something. He's not just talking you to death.
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna say something that's gonna be controversial. I I like I like Van Helsing. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was fun. I thought uh, Hugh Jackman was entertaining. And I like the idea of all these different monsters being in one movie. I loved it. I was like, this is cool to me, but people crapped on it and didn't like it, but I liked it. Now I didn't like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as much, and I compare it because it's a very similar concept, but I don't like that one as much. But I like Sean Connery. I think that kind of missed the mark. But I like Van Helsing. Did you like it or did you not like it?
I did not. No, I didn't. I couldn't get into it. But I liked Hugh Jackman as Van Helsing.
Mm.
And
what you think of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Seen it once. I remember liking Sean Connery. I mean, I don't think I loved it or anything because I don't remember much about it.
Mm.
It was watchable, I guess, because I really don't remember. I think that movie kind of reminded me of Hellboy a little bit, just with different type of monsters. Not as good, but I don't know.
I get that.
They felt similar in the aspect of what their mission was. But I would prefer Hellboy so much more.
But
not the new one though. Not the new one. I don't want to get anyone confused. I'm talking about the original Hellboy with Ron Perlman.
With this movie, I will say that we've had other Draculas that have been on screen since then. Obviously, we had the Hammer film stuff with Christopher Lee, which I can't speak to because I've never seen it. I've never really seen those films. There is a couple of chickens in my backyard. Okay, I just happened to look and see like two chickens walking across my backyard.
Well,
all right. But yeah, anyway, but I've never seen that as I've never seen those, but I've seen what is that one? It's on Netflix. It's called Dracula. It came out in 2020.
Untold.
No. That one's good. I like that one. I liked it.
Too.
Yeah, with Luke Evans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good one. Now, I'm talking about like Frank Langella, whatever his name is. He played Dracula as well in '79. Then you have Leslie Nielsen. It's like a spoof on this movie or a spoof on Bram Stoker's Dracula. And Dracula Dead and Loving It. But I'm talking mainly about it came on Netflix in 2020 as a miniseries. It's called Dracula.
Oh, and I've never seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
The guy was okay, and I thought it was good up until it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Up until they did something, and it's like, oh well, this is something. There is a whole chicken walking around. But
welcome to Kentucky, Aaron.
Welcome to Kentucky. It's not fried. It's just eating.
Why did you have to say that? It's not fried.
I'm just saying. It isn't. But anyway, but uh, my point is this: Dracula is still going strong today. Uh, you know, but I say that looking at and going back and watching a couple of things after watching this movie, I watched Renfield again, and I watched Hotel Transylvania, which is a very different spectrum. But
Family version.
Dracula, but the Dracula portrayals, I would say Nicolas Cage. You said he pulled heavily from Christopher Lee,
That's what he
but I
says.
but I feel some of his dialect and some of his verbiage and stuff. It reminded me of Lugosi.
That's what I thought.
Um,
But
and
as soon as I saw that movie, I was like, man, he did such a fantastic job playing that version of Dracula from the 1931. I thought that as soon as I saw it. I was like, then I saw an interview where he said he pulled a lot from Christopher Lee's version. It's like, well, I haven't seen that version, but I feel you're wrong. Go
but
tell Nick Cage you're wrong.
well, I think and I seen in Hotel Transylvania, the scenes where Dracula's eyes it turns red and stuff like that. He's like type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is directly from Christopher Lee, his version of Dracula, because that type of that scary type of Dracula type of thing. But I don't know, man. Uh, I think I think honestly, you guys still get. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. They are right next to me, by the way. Now, uh, I ain't gonna lie.
And
I
scared of
think
chickens.
I am scared of birds, man.
You're scared of
They're
everything,
just
aren't you, Aaron?
yes, I am absolutely. Brandon spoils everything. Aaron's scared of everything. Um, but I'm gonna be honest with you. So far to this date, I'm gonna be completely honest. I think Nicolas Cage has played Dracula the best. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's just I think
Best I've
Bella did.
seen.
Yeah, I think Nicolas Cage, man. Like, it's like, why didn't you play him soon? Like, he's Dracula. That's how I feel.
I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, I haven't seen like the Hammer's version of that character
Hmm.
or probably anything much. Well, not anything. I mean, I've seen Dracula Untold and I've seen Dracula 2000, but like I don't really remember Gerard Butler's version of Dracula in that movie. And Luke Evans was great, but he was more of an anti-hero than anything. And Nick Cage is full on evil in Renfield. But you kind of
He does
cheer
not
for
go.
him.
Yeah.
You kind of cheer for him because he's so funny in the movie. You don't really cheer for him, but he's like a heel in wrestling. You kind of, I like this guy. He's doing evil things, but I like him.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah, I agree with you though.
it looks
That
like
Nick,
one of the Hammer films, Dracula is on Max. Um, but that's a rabbit hole I don't really feel like
I
going
think
down
that's
right
Jack
now.
Palance.
No, I seen
If it's
that
still on there, I saw it somewhere where he
Jack
was on the
Palance played
cover.
him too. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's been so many Dracula films, but I would say that Dracula hasn't been my favorite. Um, Dracula hasn't been my favorite. My granddaughter just ran outside, and I'm curious to
I
know
thought you
why.
was thinking those chickens are gonna jump up and get in the car with you.
No, I'm just
Uh,
curious why she's going outside. Is everybody outside now? But anyway, uh, Dracula isn't my favorite character. But I
you
don't know,
mean
man.
you mean he's not your favorite character in the movie? He's not your favorite
No,
vampire.
the Universal
Oh
type
yeah,
of.
no, he's not mine either.
I would say I don't know, man. I like the Invisible Man, oddly enough, because he's insane. But
Yes, he is.
but yeah,
That
I
first
mean,
one's really good. It
yeah,
really is.
but I don't know. Um, I'm just curious why this kid. I guess they're all leaving. That's what there is. Okay, that's cool. But anyway, I was like, why is everybody getting in the car? Because they're leaving. That's what happens when you leave. Um, but
I'm not sure Aaron, who's going to do a podcast in the car, like the old days.
yeah, yeah, I'm bringing it back. No, uh, but yeah, we're let me say this thought. I think, yeah, like I was saying, out of the Universal monsters, Dracula has never really been my favorite. I like him. I enjoyed the Dracula that popped up in the Monster Squad as well, with the guy that played him in there. He was very scary. And but as a kid, it was scary. But I've never really been a huge Dracula fan. But Nicolas Cage made me a fan of his Dracula. But
Yeah.
but of vampires, of all vampires, just straight vampires, for me, Dandridge from Friday Night, and then it'd be Kiefer from
David.
Lost Boys, David from Lost Boys, and then I like you watched Near Dark last
Yeah.
night. What'd you think about that?
Oh man, I liked it better this time around. Not that I've ever disliked it. I have not, but I just appreciate Bill Paxton so much for roles he was like in movies he was never the lead in, but yet he always seemed to steal the movie.
He gives it his all. He's like one of the best. That's why I mentioned it, because he was one of my favorite. He's on the list of one of my favorite vampires of all time too. He just like, yeah,
What hurts me for that, and as far as that movie goes, the reason I never give it a perfect score is because of the lead actor, Caleb. He's just boring,
yeah.
you know.
The other vampires is better, isn't it? Dude from Alien, is
It's
it?
like an aliens reunion in that movie, like three characters.
Lance Henriksen. Yeah, Lance
Yeah,
Henriksen.
the
Yeah.
girl too that's with him. She's from Aliens. She's from Terminator 2. I mean, it was like an Aliens Terminator reunion between
Hmm.
Paxton, her, and Lance. It was great. But
Okay.
I thought all the vampires were good, except Meg was. She's kind of like the main character. She's not as interesting. So
Hmm.
they give him this little love story, but it's the most uninteresting part of the movie. Give us
Yeah.
more of that family aspect with the
Yeah.
vampires.
Yeah. That's what I liked about it, is I wanted more of them.
Yeah.
Uh, and you're right. The lead guy that's becoming a vampire, the new guy, is not Lance Henriksen. Lance is always brilliant. But this guy, he's just dull, and
Yeah.
just like, if they would have took Michael from Lost Boys and put him in there, he would have been a more interesting character to go
That's
along with
saying
this person.
something. That is saying something.
It is. It is.
No
But yeah.
disrespect intended, Jason Patrick. But you sucked in Lost Boys.
Yeah. I mean, and that's it's crazy with those type of vampire films, is that the vampires themselves is cooler.
Yeah.
Um, also, I can't forget 30 Days of Nights. Whatever the vampires, like the classy type of vampire guys, was. Oh, I love that vampire too. I thought he was really. That's the scariest vampire movie I think I've ever seen, because it's just, how you fight that, man? It's just like they come to your town and it's nighttime all the time. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Try, yeah,
It's crazy to even think about. But yeah, I don't know. Mine would be obviously number one is David from Lost Boys. I just think he's the coolest vampire that ever lived. I've always thought that. I always will. I don't know who my number two would be. I like the guy that you mentioned from 30 Days a Night, though.
yeah,
He's just vicious, man. He's got no soul, which is what a vampire is not supposed to have one. So, but I kind of, and maybe I'm being partial here because I love Nick Cage, but I really loved his performance in Renfield. Like,
hmm
I wanted more of him and less of Renfield. And if I would have gotten that, it would have been a perfect movie in my eyes. But I want a Nick Cage starring as Dracula. I need
You
it.
know what's
I
you
need
know
it.
what's funny is is I totally while I was watching this movie, I was like Renfield I'm talking about. While I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's the same guy from Warm Bodies. It didn't dawn on me that it's the same guy that's in Warm Bodies. I'm like, man, he's kind of stuck this little like stick out. You know, he went on to do other things. He was Beast and the
X
X-Men
Men.
stuff.
That's what I know him from.
Yeah, yeah. But he was in Warm Bodies.
He's also in the Menu.
He's in the Menu. And so he's still getting work. He's getting pretty good work too. I like Menu, as A24. But but yeah, all right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and give our you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm gonna give this I'm gonna give it 4 markouts out of 5. I think that it's
Wow.
for its time, it was perfect. Yeah, for its time. It had its thing, but it for its time is perfect. Um, but yeah,
But yeah,
what do you give it?
I can't go that high. I'll give it. I can't. I'm gonna stick with my number. I'm gonna go give it a 3 out of 5.
That's
Uh,
fine.
I mean, you're right. For its time, it was special, but today it's not as special. But you do appreciate what they started with,
Hmm.
and I thought Dracula was excellent. I just wish he would have done more.
Yeah,
Like that's my issue with the film. It spends so much time talking and literally no action.
yeah,
Very little action, and there is literally zero horror in this movie. There's nothing
yeah. It's
scary
not
about
really.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For like I said, for us, it isn't. Now for like probably like kids in the 1930s, man, it's terrifying. Probably.
Probably,
But they're
I
like,
would
oh,
imagine.
it's walking, it's looking at me, whatever. But for us, it's like whatever, man. We grew up with Jason and Michael Myers. You gotta be quicker than that. But
And the
all
Lost
right,
Boys. I mean,
in Lost Boys.
you grew up with those vampires compared to this version. And you just like, you're probably thinking that's kind of lame.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But
for its time, it was. I really believe it was special.
yeah. Well, next week, I'm gonna do Dracula 2000. I'm gonna stick with it. Because for me, Bram Stoker's Dracula is 2 hours long, and I've always found it boring, and it is. It's just that like I always found it boring. It is what it is, but I'm excited to revisit Dracula 2000 because I hadn't seen it. I don't know since like early 2000s. It came out like '99, I think.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it since like maybe seen it maybe 2 to 3 times
Is it just
in my
basically the
life.
story of what just came out? Like on a ship, he kills all these people on a ship.
And
It's
it's like
similar to
what
that,
if
right?
Dracula? Yeah, it's what if Dracula ends up in the new world, uh, and he wakes up and he starts being Dracula in the modern day. But the
Yeah.
modern day is 1999 then or 2000. They say
Yeah, I
it's
remember
set, but
Omar Epps was in that movie.
Omar Epps. Yep.
Yeah,
Uh,
I literally had no idea who Gerard Butler was at that point in time.
yeah,
So
me neither. So it'd be interesting to revisit seeing a very young Gerard Butler who's sharpening his teeth in the film industry at that time, if you will. Um,
I
but
even
yeah.
believe this was before he got Tomb Raider.
Oh,
He played the
I didn't
villain,
know
and yeah, he played the
he's
villain
in
in
Tomb Raider.
one of them. Played the villain. This is before then, I believe. So he was just getting really getting his teeth sharpened.
Yeah, there you go. Uh, well, we if you enjoyed the Podcast. Brandon, what do we want people to do?
Like, subscribe, comment, share, enjoy.
Yeah,
But subscribe to the Markout Movie Podcast channel on YouTube and on
yeah,
Facebook.
and on Facebook. Yeah, we thank you for looking and viewing us. I'm sorry for the camera angle. I had people in the house and I didn't want to. There was no place for me to go in there, so I came to the car. And unfortunately, when I placed this little mount up here, I placed it too far to where if I do it a certain way, you're gonna see the steering wheel. You don't need to know that, but I'm a sharer. But all
Let's
right, we thank you.
overshare.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know what horror movies are you watching this year. If you going to the movies to see Saw X
The Exorcist is out.
or the most panned horror movie thus far, it seems like it's The Exorcist beginning. And this guy, you ruin franchises, man. What you doing? What you doing? But I don't know. I've never been a huge Exorcist guy. Um, I thought the first one was scary,
I got a question
but
for
it's
you,
also
though.
very slow, though, huh?
Got a question. Since you say he's ruining franchises, and we all know what you're talking about, you felt he ruined Halloween.
He did.
Who did a better job of ruining a franchise? This guy, David Gordon Green, is that his name?
Yeah, David Gordon Green. Yeah.
Or Rob Zombie? Who did a better job in ruining the franchise of Halloween? It's a good question.
I would
It'd be a
say,
good
yeah,
debate. It really would
yeah.
be.
I would say off the top of my head, I would want to say David Gordon Green.
Wow.
Uh, because I think at least Rob still kept he was Michael was savage. He was like, you know, but at the end, well, either way, in both series they kill Michael.
Yeah.
But
I actually
but
like
the
the
way,
aspect that Laurie
but
becomes Michael, though.
yeah, but David Gordon Green, like, not only did he kill Michael, that's not the problem. Is that the Michael they killed was a wimpy, less than Michael. It's like it's like it's like if you went out if the last Friday 13 movie for you uh when they killed Jason and they replaced where they was eating his heart and stuff. If that was the last one you went out on, it would be a travesty.
I will say Halloween Ends is better than that, though.
Yeah,
at least it's interesting with, I forgot his name. I call him a goob. He's a
Corey,
nerd. Corey, okay, yeah.
Corey, yeah.
Corey Cunningham, right?
Corey Cunningham, yeah.
I don't know if that's a shot at Friday the 13th, Sean is Cunningham or not, but either way, with him, he's an interesting character. I just felt it was rushed. It shouldn't have, if he was going to become like Michael in any aspect, it should have been at the very end of the movie.
Yeah, they shouldn't have killed. Then in that case, I'm okay with they can kill Michael if he's going to be the new big bad,
Yeah.
or just have it where Michael thought he killed him, but then like when Laurie came home after they killed Michael, the guy's gone and the mask is gone and Corey's gone. Then
I
it
thought it
starts
was
a new.
I thought it was a weak ending overall. Like, I was into the movie until literally the last 10, 15 minutes. How Michael was taken out was just weak, in my opinion. It was just, it didn't feel like it had substance. It didn't feel like it was important. It's just like she easily defeated Michael Myers. Like, it was nothing. 40 years of fighting this guy. I'm just going to slit his wrist.
Oh, I'm gonna stop him with a refrigerator. Yeah. It's like, man, it was just like anticlimactic.
It was.
And but yeah, I think that I don't know, for Rob Zombie's credit, he was willing to take Michael in a different direction. Now, Rob, I liked his Halloween remake. I liked it. for now revisiting it though, I felt like it's too. He Rob Zombie is over the top when it comes to like his filmmaking. As far as like the characters are all exaggerated. I don't really like that. Then they're all trailer park. He loves trailer park,
He does.
trailer trash type of characters.
Yeah, that's his
Uh, it just
forte right there.
yeah, man. I'm not a huge Rob guy at all, and I've soured on like I don't like any of his films. I can really think I can't I don't even like House of a Thousand Corpses. I used to really enjoy that one. I watched it again maybe a year or so ago, and I was like, this is pretty dumb. I just didn't like it. I'm not a huge Rob guy. The best Rob Zombie film to me is probably Halloween. Halloween 2, H2. I felt like he
He didn't want
he
to do it.
tried it. Yeah, he tried to take it somewhere else, but I don't know. It's hard to question, like you said, because David Gordon Green. It was entertaining. It started off great. It was entertaining. And I was like, oh, I like what they're doing. Is they doing where Michael is gonna be like he has a protege? Is this what's gonna happen? Is this what's happening, or is it Michael kind of getting like watching this guy kill and he's kind of getting off on his killing? Like what's going on? But then like when they fought in the sewer and he beat Michael up and took his mask, I was like, okay. Okay. That's like someone beating up Jason Voorhees and taking his mask and being like, now I'm going to be Jason. Or beating up Freddy and like, give me the glove. You just don't, that's who they, but you
Well,
don't do that.
I could see it. It'd be kind of hard. If Freddy was in the real world, I could see that being easier. Not in the dream world, but in the real world. But to defeat Jason or Michael, and you're a wimpy kid at that, you are. They've already shown how weak you are. It wasn't believable. And if I was a diehard Michael Myers fan, I would have been really upset. Which I'm not. But I am a big Jason fan, and I would have been really upset if that would have happened to him.
So let me ask you this: what is the equivalent to you as far as what they did? Is the worst thing they did to Jason Voorhees when Jason Goes to Hell? Was that the worst thing they did to him, or was it Jason X?
Well.
Or
Like,
Manhattan.
are you talking about quality film wise or like storyline wise?
Storyline. What did you shake your head like? I can't believe they did that. Was it Manhattan? Was it? Which Manhattan probably has more of a cult following now these days.
I like some things about Manhattan. I wished it was in New York a lot more. But for me, originally, I would say it's part 5. Trying to make Tommy the new Jason. No one liked that aspect. You may have enjoyed the film, but you didn't enjoy. Let's get rid of Jason. No.
Is that with the fake Jason, right?
Yeah. I like the film's fine, but the storyline of Tommy becoming him is just dumb in my opinion. And I felt that's what they were trying to do in Halloween Ends, with that. But the dumbest film I thought they could have done to really kill the franchise was Jason Goes to Hell. With the body
they blow up Jason in the first 5 minutes of the movie. I thought,
once you get to that point, you're like, okay, what's the rest of the movie going to be? If you're a first time watch, what could this possibly be? And then you see the guy eat the heart, and he becomes Jason, and it's body hopping after body hopping, and he becomes a little demon at the end. It's like this was never Friday the 13th. To me, this came more of an Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah. So who do you feel like? Yeah, like who wrote that? Who said this is a great idea for Jason?
Well, Sean Cunningham signed the check.
It was serious. Of course, Sean Cunningham. You said
I felt like he only did it because it's setting up Freddy versus Jason. It's like, okay, I'll give you this piece of crap film if we're going to Freddy versus Jason. And of course, after that, we got Jason X, which
Listen, I didn't hate
I,
Jason X. I thought it's fun for what it was, and I love it was very meta when it came to the references, even
yeah,
before its time. Think about how long ago that was, and the references that like we all clapped on when they holodecked Camp Crystal Lake, and and he's just like, the cheerleaders, hey, come smoke weed with us, and how unfair they'll say, you know, and then like he takes them and just like bashes them against the tree and against one another. It's just like that part of it was fun, but it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best Jason movie, but we got Jason back. But then they made Jason like, what'd you come? Is it Uber Jason?
yeah. That's like I didn't hate it when they blew him up and he came Uber Jason. He got a new look. I mean, but it's just I felt the tone of the movie was almost leprechaun like. It just
Yeah,
it didn't
yeah, you're
fit.
right.
It didn't
Yeah.
really fit to a traditional Jason movie. But at that point in time, how could you do a traditional Jason movie after Jason goes to hell? How could you go back? You had to do something different. I'm thankful we got Freddy versus Jason, and then of course the reboot happened, and I'm thankful that Peacock is doing something. Whether it's a
With it.
prequel, I really paid much attention to it. I think it's a prequel with Mrs. Voorhees, but Jason's going to make an appearance or something. I don't really know. I haven't kept up with it because it's hard to get excited for because every time you do, he gets taken away.
So is the rule right now? Is this kind of like a Don Mancini type of rule where you can have the Friday 13th, but you can't use Jason, or you can use Jason, but you can't have Jason appear in his final form with the hockey mask, or is there anything like that? Like, do
Uh,
two different people own the rights, or
Victor Miller owns the rights, but from what I've heard, that they have some sort of agreement they will work together. I don't know how true that is. I'm assuming it's true because Jason is supposed to appear in the show, so I'm assuming it's adult Jason. But I've also heard it's a prequel with Mrs. Voorhees. I don't really know. I mean, it hasn't went into production yet, so it's still up for grabs. I would say
Hmm.
what they are actually going to do, but from what last I heard, it was going to be about her,
Hmm.
and Jason was going to make appearances, but I don't really know.
It's the second time in a week I've mentioned Don Mancini on the podcast, but but yeah, I give the guy credit for continuing with Chucky.
I mean,
But
it's all he's
yeah,
got, right?
that's all he has. That's his trick pony right there. And
Well, he did work on
and
Hannibal, though.
the show.
Yeah, I know he did
Okay,
work on that. So I mean, he's got some intelligence to him. He's creative and so I'm just saying he can do more than Chucky, and he can do more than
but
what
maybe
they've
he
done
doesn't
with
want to do
Chucky.
more. Yeah,
He
maybe
probably
that's all he
does.
wants to do is Chucky.
I mean, if I had a character like Chucky, I would milk it to death too. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. But
I
all
just
right.
wouldn't have
Well,
done it the way he done it. I wouldn't have done
yeah.
Seed.
No, I hate to see. I think it's the weakest thing in all the Chucky stuff. Um,
I
but
agree.
but all right. Well, we appreciate you tuning in and listening to us rant and rave about Dracula from 1931. If you want to watch Dracula, it is on Prime. I think that's where I saw it. I think I seen it on Amazon Prime. I own it. I own
Mhm.
all of them, but on DVD or Blu-ray. I think it might be on Blu-ray that I own them. But yeah, I just watched it because of streaming. Um, yeah, I don't have time to be putting stuff in Blu-ray players. It's more complicated for me to do it. I got to move stuff around and turn this TV to this screen and stuff. I don't want to do all that. So
Uh,
he
you
don't
got a
want to
lot
do all
going on.
that. I do. But all right. Well, we appreciate you tuning in to the Markout Movie Podcast, Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey.
We thank you for marking out with us. Have a good rest of your weekend. Be safe and stay away from scary people if you can. Unless you're scary,
and
then.
and The Exorcist apparently.
And an exorcist.